We have an investment committee which decide, and then the grants are being provided, and we collect it back through royalties only in case the project is successful. If it's not successful, then we forget about the money. But we believe that even if the project fails, that some benefits have come up to the Israeli economy through the knowledge and the spillover and etc. So this is what we are doing in principle. In the past 6 months, we are focusing heavily on evaluating the climate tech sector in Israel, ecosystem, and inside that it's the circular economy startups. We need to understand. We want to understand what is available in this ecosystem. What are the strengths? What are the weaknesses? Because we believe the Israeli innovation has a unique opportunity to provide effort to contribute to the national effort, to the global effort of reducing the GHG emissions and support the fight against the climate crisis. One of our main subjects to focus on is how we promote the circular economy. I can share with you that in our mapping, we found some very interesting facts about the circular economy, or circularity startups, as we call them. Currently, we have a circularity sector as one of the most growing sectors in the climate tech ecosystem in Israel. We have around 50 startups, okay, but almost 80% of them are established within the past 3 years, okay. So it's a very growing and a promising trend. The money is not pouring into this sector. This is one of the main barriers, which this is the reason why we are so dominant in this field, because there is what we call a market failure, and it's hard for a private investor to put the money in early stage in this sector. But we believe there is a huge potential. Okay, there is different sources for estimating the market value of circularity and circular economy sector, but it's trillions of dollars, and we believe there is a possibility of the Israeli innovation to come up with great solutions. Some of them you will see and meet later on in this webinar. I can share with you, Avi. I'm not hearing you, but I will guess your next question is, what are you doing to promote the sector? So,
it's you that muted me, right?
So I can just tell you that yesterday, our investment committee have approved the first circularity consortia. Okay, it's a magnet consortia. It's a consortia of academic players with industry, all working together in order to promote early on research in circularity. It is the black soldier's fly technology, taking turning food waste into protein. Okay, we want to leverage this technology to grow it up. We believe there is an opportunity for the Israeli circularity ecosystem to grow this technology, and we are putting a lot of efforts in doing it. They're very, very, very early stage. Another program that we have is the pilot program, because we see that a lot of the barriers and the challenges that startups in this field, but not only in this field, also other climate-related fields, is how to implement the products. Who will be the first customer? We want to do it here in Israel. This we have the pilot program in which we fund pilots together with other government ministries, meaning we turn government infrastructure into beta sites for you, for the startups, to try your product, maybe implement it, maybe even sell it to the government in Israel. But if not, you gain your first contract, your first POC, and you can go out and sell your product after you proved it concept. This is the second one. And the third, we are working hard with other ministries, with, for example, the Ministry of Economy and Industry, with Arik, who will be the next speaker after me. We want to work with the demand side of the industry. We want to make sure the factories and what we call a traditional industry knows what they need to do. We want to provide them with expert support to build a plan together, how to turn their products and how to recycle the product and assess their circularity options. We do it together, and we will continue to do it together as long as Arik will have patience to work with us.
Great. He has a look of no patience at all. So
because he's in traffic.
In traffic. I hope he's not driving. Ari,
No.
thanks a lot. I wanted to ask you about if you have some tips for entrepreneurs, but we ran out of time, so people will have to reach out to you directly to get your valuable knowledge on expert tips on.
I welcome everyone to approach me. I will circulate my email in the chat here, and feel free.
Awesome.
And good luck, all guys.
Wonderful. Thanks for joining us. And if there are any questions, I think you'll join us at the end for the Q&A. Thanks, Ari. Next, we want to invite Dr. Ari Rivkin. He's the Director of Food Tech and Circular Economy at the Ministry of Industry and a long-time colleague. Arik, screen is yours. I hope you're not driving, but we wanted to hear from you a little bit about what the Startup Nation and the Ministry of Economy is doing to promote circular innovation and circularity in general in Israel.
Okay, thank you very much. So hi to everyone. I'm not very good at multitasking, so I'm not driving. And I'll share my screen. Prepared a small presentation, which hopefully, yeah, you see it, right? Do you see it? I need some kind of feedback.
Yeah, we see it.
See it. Great. Okay, so I want to tell you a little bit about how we promote circular economy and how we try to fast forward the transition of the Israel and specifically the Israeli industry to circular economy. So this is a general slide I put in every presentation to remind to myself what is circular economy, but I assume that people here don't really need a reminder of what that is. And I want to dive right into what are we already doing, because we have a few projects which are already running currently, and I think they're very nice and they're very interesting to hear. So the first one is the project called the Industrial Symbiosis Project, and it's funded for 5 years and $7.5 million, not very expensive, with very important benefits. I'll talk a little bit more about it later. The second important project is what we call it's a joint project with the first one also is a joint project with the Ministry of Environmental Protection. This is the Center for Resource Efficiency, and I'll also speak, I have a slide for it later on. Another very important thing we do is try to level the playing field for the regulatory playing field for recycling and circular economy in general, because we assume that if the same rules and the same incentives and the same regulatory boundaries were for everyone, then circular economy would grow much faster because it has an inner economic sense inside. But this is not the case. For example, not up until recently, not all of the support from the Ministry of Economy could be given to recycling plants, which is a shame, because then it means they have less money and less possibility to grow. And the last thing, which is currently happening, is the consortium called Circle. Maybe you heard about it. It's basically it's a consortium by the Innovation Authority, by the way. So indeed, we have a very fruitful collaboration. This is their consortium, and basically what they're trying to develop is new means of thinking how to recycle plastic and how to make plastic which is more recyclable. Very interesting. I won't talk about it. So I want to present you the two projects our ministry is leading. One is the industrial symbiosis. The site is unfortunately only in Hebrew. You can go into the site lately. And the idea is very simple. It's basically there are a lot of companies, organizations in Israel. There are around, I don't know, 16,000 factories and much more organizations, and all of them have waste. Now, maybe this waste could be a resource for someone else, but they don't have they don't have enough knowledge to know who might need them. So a lot of good secondary materials is considered as waste and just goes to landfilling. And this is a shame. And basically what this project does is we as the Ministry of Economy, together with the Ministry of Environmental Protection, we pay consultants which go and map pretty much like every organization in Israel. They after the 5-year project will end, we are supposed to map roughly around 8,000 organizations. So we're really changing the mindset here. Now, you have a few data from the project. You can look at it by yourselves, but I want to tell you a new symbiosis just from yesterday, which I learned about. This is why you have this. I don't know how you call this in English. This is in Hebrew. It's called karchomim. But basically, one thing which we do a lot now is corona testing. So in Israel, there's one organization who takes the test, but then it has to shift it to the laboratory. So it uses a lot of these blue thingies. We're talking about roughly 60, 70 tons a year. And what this organization who does the testing did with those blue things, he threw them away, although they cost a lot of money. Now, the symbiosis consultants, they found a different organization who is willing to take these karchomim. Maybe I should have checked how to say this in English. But anyway, he takes these karchomim and he reuses them and resells them to other organizations. Now we're talking about annual savings for the organization who don't need to buy new blue things for roughly 100,000 shekels.
So Laura is helping us. It's called ice packs.
Ice packs, trivial. Sorry, should have thought about it myself. Anyway, so these ice packs, and this is trivial. And these are a lot of the projects that the problem is the lack of information. There is not enough information that the organizations can share. The other thing we do is we have the Center for Resource Efficiency, again, together with the Ministry of Environmental Protection, and the resource and the Center for Resource Efficiency. He has two jobs, basically. One is to be, I'll start from the green one, is to be the consultant. He can subsidize consulting for organizations who want to be more efficient with their resources. And actually, he now has a new program where he can help organizations to plan for carbon neutrality. And we see a lot of demand in the market for the center. And well, basically what you get in the end, you use the consultant from the center. The center works with the best consultants in Israel and worldwide, doesn't matter. And eventually you have, for example, after you do the process with the center, you have a list of projects, and for every project, you know exactly what you need to do, how much it will cost you, and what is the ROI, if there is an ROI. Usually there is. And the second thing is generating a knowledge center. And basically it means expanding the knowledge of the industry in regard to circular economy and resource efficiency. For example, maybe you're familiar with the project R2Pi, and it's a European project, and one of the products of this project was like a manual for strategic process which companies can make in order to transfer to circular economy. And it was done only in English. And right now, the center translated this manual together with the organization, with the Jerusalem Institute, who made the original guide. And he now has he now has some, like, he checks the validity of the translation when he applies it to different companies in Israel. So this is something which is happening right now, and this is very, very interesting. Now, in general, now I want to talk about the future a little bit. We're trying to make a roadmap for circular economy, and
Arik, just 2 minutes.
okay, cool. So this is basically the building blocks. This has, we really have to collaborate with a lot of partners here. The Innovation Authority is a major partner, obviously. And actually, I don't want to go over them. I just want to tell you about two main tools we want to promote. One is the One is the community for circular economy, which basically should help marketing, in the marketing of the concept, in generating general knowledge, a little bit like the knowledge center of the resource efficiency center, and to generate platforms to promote all the partners to sit and promote circular economy. This should happen hopefully next year. And this is the process we've done to understand exactly how, this is the modeling of the process of how company can become circular. Another thing is this is a collaboration with the Ministry of, with the Innovation Authority to promote projects, circular projects, like support R&D, basically. And another very, very important thing is all the things of regulation, because I'll tell you, like, I think that although the other things are much more interesting maybe and sexy, eventually redoing the standards, for example, for the construction sector, to make, I don't know, bricks, the fact that you can use secondary materials in bricks is extremely important, and that you can use secondary materials in concrete and all this stuff. So we have a very big work with all the government partners to try and adapt the Israeli regulation to use secondary materials and to promote circular economy. And obviously, circular procurement is also here because it's very, very important. I think that will be it.
Great, Arik. Thanks a lot, and just on time. Perfect presentation. Very interesting. I think we will keep the Q&A for the end of the day. So if you're of the hour, so if you're able to stay with us for the end, we'll be happy for you to answer any questions if there are. And if not, we will forward you the question. So thanks, Arik. We want to move now from the government sector into the Israeli startups, and out of really many interesting, we chose two that we find extremely exciting and interesting. And we want to start off with UBQ materials. You have probably heard of them if you are in this circular domain, but if not, this is a great opportunity to hear from Rachel Barr. She's the VP of Sustainability of UBQ Materials. And Rachel, thanks for joining. The screen is yours.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. Let me just get sharing. Camille, I think I need some help. It's saying who can share, host only, all panelists who can share.
Let's just make you a host. No, Camille, you can make Rachel the host.
Well, in the meantime, I just want to thank Avi and his team for having me today, as well as the Israel Innovation Authority, who has provided us with funding as well. So very grateful for that.
Awesome.
I can start speaking while y'all figure this out.
You should be able to share now.
Okay, I should be able to share now. All right, let me see. Share screen. No.
Doesn't work. Do we have the presentation of Rachel, Camille? So can you try to see if you can share it? Awesome. No, that's the. Right. We can work with it like that if you cannot move to presenter mode.
So hello, everyone. I'm Rachel Barr, and I'm the Vice President of Sustainability at UBQ Material. Camille, we need to go to the beginning of the slide deck, I'm afraid. At UBQ, we are challenged. We're facing a very big challenge, what to do with all the waste in the world. So globally, we can go to the next slides, Camille. So globally, the waste problem is over 2 billion tons of municipal solid waste per year. And a lot of this is coming out of the developing world, but not all of it. But in the developing world, the problem is particularly acute because 90% of the waste that's created is actually dumped openly or burned. And that has huge climate implications to the tune of 1.6 billion tons of CO2 equivalents per year is generated from solid waste. Next slide, please. And this equates, this 1.6 billion tons of CO2 equivalent is equivalent to about 5% of global greenhouse gas emissions per annum. And that is expected to rise as our population expands and our economies continue to develop. Next slide, please. Here in Israel, the problem of methane, which is the main emissions associated with landfills that are open and unmanaged, is particularly acute. Anthropogenic methane in Israel is comprised of 80% from the waste sector. And that is much more in line with the developing world than the developed world. And so the linear economy is alive and well here in Israel, sadly. Although I think you'll hear later on there are efforts underway to change that, but UBQ is part of that solution as well. So I'll line that up for y'all. So we all can agree that this linear model, Camille, will you go back, please? We can all agree that this linear model of extraction to production and then just trashing whatever isn't being used is unsustainable. Oftentimes we think, okay, well, recycling, that's great. And it is, but in Israel as well as around the world, only a minority of municipal solid waste, that is the household trash, can actually be recycled. And why is that? It's because the trash has to be, the recyclates have to be actually really clean. It can't have any food particles or anything like that in it. And it has to be a sorted stream. And of that, only a minority of the plastics, for instance, can actually be recycled. And so that's where UBQ comes into play. Next slide, please. So UBQ takes trash that's destined for landfill. We divert it literally just, instead of going one way down the road, it comes to the other and it comes to our plant where we process it. And basically, only thing we take out is the things that can be recycled. So that's the glass, the metal, and some plastic that can be recycled domestically in Israel. And what's left is about 70% by volume organic material. That's the food waste, dirty cardboard, garden trimmings, dirty diapers, chicken bones. And then you have about 30% of the waste by volume, which becomes our feedstock, which is unrecyclable plastics. Next slide, please. And so we take this garbage that otherwise would just decay in a landfill and cause massive amounts of methane, and we put it through a conversion process, and we make a new material that we also call, or companies call UBQ, but so is our material. And we call it the UBQ material, and it's a climate positive thermoplastic that's bio-based. And that's because our waste stream is made out of organics primarily. And so what's created is this UBQ material, and it's used as a substitute for oil-based resins, and it's already being used by industry. And it's being used as as an additive of good. So if you can go to the next slide, I'll lay this up for y'all. I'm gonna first go through where it's being used currently, and then I'm gonna go into more of the climate impacts and the environmental impacts of why it's being used. So our material is called UBQ, and it stands for ubiquitous, because we hope that it'll be in everything, because trash is everywhere and the problem of trash is growing. So too should the applications of our product. And currently, the 4 main categories where it's being used, and this is not by all like a inclusive list, is in the logistics area. So the plastic crates and the trash bins and things like that. Also consumer products. So basically, if you have a hanger in your house that's made out of plastic, with time, that will be made with UBQ. And as others have mentioned before, the criticality of finding alternative products to put into building materials is critical. So UBQ can actually be made into bricks, as well as pipes and all sorts of other things. And surprisingly, the automotive industry uses a lot of plastic in their cars, and UBQ has become very popular in that sector as well. And this has become, Camille, can you go one more slide beyond actually? This is because, yes, this is because the environmental impacts of UBQ are quite amazing. So every ton of UBQ, it uses 1.3 tons of waste that's been diverted from landfill. And the reason for the differential of 0.3 tons is because municipal solid waste is wet. And by the time the UBQ comes out, it's a dry powder. So that's just moisture essentially. But because waste, when left in the landfill, just generates massive amounts of methane, the climate positivity of UBQ is amazing. So every ton of UBQ that's made prevents 11.7 tons of CO2 equivalent. And that equates to the annual sequestration of almost 1,000 trees. And will you go back one slide now? And when you compare UBQ to the products that it's substituted for, the implications are really profound. So UBQ is all the way at the left because it's climate positive, but the products that we replace are not climate positive. They have a carbon footprint actually that's not nice. So the most common material that we replace is polypropylene, but we also replace polystyrene, and you can see some of these, have an impact factor of like 5 and change tons of CO2 equivalent per ton of the plastic. And so this is really where a lot of the appeal for UBQ comes to. Camille, will you go 2 slides ahead now? Thank you. In my eyes, the competitive advantage of UBQ is by and large associated with its price point, but also that it's an additive of good. And that comes from 2 areas, the material itself and the process that we use to make it. So let's talk about the process first. Our process is closed loop and it's incredibly energy efficient. And that's to the tune of about 1/5 of the energy required to convert UBQ versus a conventional plastic resin. Our conversion process is actually on par with conventional recycling, which is to say it's basically, it's barely carbon negative. No, it's barely climate negative. We don't have any additives to UBQ, so there's no water used in the process. We use the sun and we use a little bit of electricity, and the output of the process is only UBQ. There's no residual waste or effluents. On the material side, because of the waste diverted from landfills, it has a huge climate positivity, but also it's made of 100% recycled content. And of course, this conversation is all around circularity. So for us, while it's great that we're taking the trash and we're giving it another life, it's important that we give it more lives thereafter. And so the recyclability of UBQ is also critical. And while we could process it in our factories, that's not really a viable option right now because we're still growing so fast. So instead, what people are able to do with UBQ is it can be conventionally recycled. So, and critically for our clients, it's price competitive, which is really important because, people want to make the switch, but if you're saying it's going to cost 5x of what the conventional resin is, well, the conversation sort of shifts a little bit. But when you say you're on par with the conventional resin, that's a much more sexy opportunity. And of course, we're patented, both the process and the material is patented worldwide because this is our IP after all. We can go to the next slide. And so the price translates obviously to the products as sold, and doesn't require the company that's manufacturing the product or selling it to sacrifice on their own margins. In contrast with the conventional product, which is made from a petroleum base, ours is made from trash. Unlike the conventional product, our products use landfill diverted waste, and we don't deplete the Earth's resources. Conventional resins obviously promote the linear economy and perpetuate it versus us who are advancing the circular economy. And I think that really this one slide highlights exactly why so many companies are partnering with us, despite the fact that we are a younger startup. These are the companies that we can publicly talk about: McDonald's, Mercedes, Minetti, they're like the biggest manufacturer of hangers in the world. But by leveraging their size and our innovation, we can really leverage with time, especially as we grow, massive amounts of global change. And these are only a few of the companies that we can actually talk about, but there's so many others in our pipeline, and all of them are either companies that you know by logo / brand, or they're products that you're using and you don't realize that they're made by these companies. So we really just work with big organizations. We can go to the next slide.
Rachel, can we have one more minute left?
Yep. So our material right now is only made in Israel, and that's being done in the south on a kibbutz called Se'ilim, and we've been operational and selling our plastics since 2018. But the demand really outstrips supply, and so if we go to the next slide, I'll show you what's happening coming next year. We're actually expanding to the Netherlands, and our facility is going to be way bigger. We're talking about 70,000 metric tons or so of capacity, which is going to divert just way more waste. We're talking about 90,000 metric tons of waste. And obviously the climate implications of that are significant. And really, that really concludes the presentation. I look forward to having any questions from you all, but it's really been a pleasure to speak, and thank you for giving us the opportunity.
Awesome. Thanks, Rachel, for coming on short notice. Now, this is delicate. Zoom is messing up with us, and we need you to convey the host rights to Camille.
Okay.
So that Camille can allow me to open the video. This is why I'm with the video off. So on the participant panel, if you click on participants and you choose the panelist tab, then you have
I don't have that tab. I can say who can share, who can start sharing. I say only hosts or all panelists. I have a Mac.
You have a Mac. Awesome. So I'm going to host the rest of this from without a video. Either Camille is going to take my part. Thanks, Rachel. And
I'm sorry.
You are that's okay. You're welcome to stay with us for the Q&A until the end. Of course,
we'll do.
Thanks. Next, we have another exciting, very interesting Israeli startup. I think we can still call you a startup, Mino, but correct me.
Not anymore. I hope that.
Not anymore. Yeah. All right. So Mino Negrin is the CEO of New Filtration. And currently, I really hope that he can share his PowerPoint. And if not, we will do that from our side with the PDF.
I will try, first of all, and I would like also to apologize. I am speaking, as you can see, eventually. I don't know if you can, no, just wait. This is not exactly what I wanted to share.
It's okay, because it's not shared yet.
Okay, I have shared,
yes.
Maybe you can see?
Yeah, we can see, thanks.
Okay, so I apologize, first of all. I am actually in the center of London. I was traveling, and the flight arrived very late, and I couldn't make it for the check-in to the hotel. So I picked up a place in the center of London, and I am relying on the hotspot of my phone. I hope that let's cross fingers and hope that everything will go smoothly. So actually, thank you very much for having me. Actually, this is not a startup. New Filtration is not a startup anymore. It's already a company which is selling. I have also the impression that UBQ is not a startup anymore. They are really very impressive. We are already in our commercial phase, although it is not very extended. But we hope that our product can make a real success in the very next future. And on the top of that, I have to say that we didn't know at the beginning when we started the company, and we bought the technology, etc. We didn't know that we are a circular economy company. But only after I have been in a lecture of Avi, I realized that we are in the very center of the circular economy activity. So what is all about? We are speaking about water filtration, water purification. We have bought a patent which was developed by University of Tel Aviv by a professor in the University of Tel Aviv. By the way, he's a very known professor after being somehow a coronavirus, a Novax or something like that. Professor Yoram Lass. He is actually who developed the the patent, and we are addressing a sustainable solution in water purification. What are the parameters of a sustainable solution in water purification? Is basically in any other field. So the system has to be safe and efficient, has to be simple to install and operate. Water treatment, water purification, mainly in remote areas, needs to be very, very easy to install and operate, has obviously to be very robust. You don't need to use consumables almost at all, so any chemicals, etc., which are involved in the solution can simply jeopardize the application itself. And on the top of that, the main issue, you have to have an affordable solution. Otherwise, it will the end user, which we will see in the in few minutes from now, who we are addressing with this product, needs to be capable to buy the system itself and to maintain. So what we are speaking about? We are speaking about this device. This device, which looks like a filter, and it is a filter. It has been originally manufactured and used as an artificial kidney. So actually, this is a medical device which has been used by people who have kidney failures. Their kidney are not working, unfortunately, and they have to go through a process named hemodialysis. Maybe some of you heard about it. Basically, what is hemodialysis? You arrive to the dialysis center, to an hospital, to a center where this process is going on, and then you sit on a chair. They take you the vein from your vein. They take you your blood. They connect it to the blood pump, and then the blood pump starts to circulate your blood through a filter, which is this device. Okay, so the blood circulates through the filter. The filter is purifying your blood, separating between the essential parts of the essential components of the blood, like albumin, and the other impurity, the other components which the kidneys usually are expelling. But obviously, if you don't have that, if your kidneys are not functioning, they simply are remaining in the blood. And so by size exclusion, thanks to the porosity of the filter, okay, there are some, the impurities are going out from the blood, and the good components are remaining inside. So after 2 hours that this thing is going on, the procedure is finished, and then what you do with this filter? So there are two options. The first option is simply to waste it, to trash it, to put it on the trash. The second option, which is a very complicated one, is to perform a sterilization to this device, and then to reuse it as a dialyzer in the dialysis process. But it has to be done, it has to be supplied to the same patient, meaning that if the device has been used by me, it has to be reused by myself. And therefore, because due to the fact that it is a very complicated, a big hassle in logistics, etc., most of the world, most of the dialysis centers, most of the hospitals in the world are simply wasting that to the trash as a medical waste. And there are 250 million of those devices which were manufactured, used, and disposed every year in the world. Only in Israel, we have 1 million of those. Just to give you an idea, this we are speaking about only in Israel of 200,000 kilos of CO2, which are disposed just like that. So what is the circular economy about? To take, this is what I learned from Avi, is to take something which is wasted and has no value at all, and to transform it in something which has an even more valuable impact on the
Okay, London is under attack and we lost Mino. just in the interesting part of upcycling a useless material that is waste into something that is of value. So while we try to reconnect with Mino, I think we will share with you our circular economy platform and the circular competition. And if we are able to renew the connection with London, then we will let Mino finish the presentation and hear what New Filtration has been up to, interestingly, around the world. Okay, so as for the last part, oh yeah, I just got a text from Mino that his battery ran out. Nice, we have all the possible mishaps today during the Zoom. If Mino fixes his problem, we will be able to add him later, but if not, the last part of this webinar, we wanted to share our community. And this is an effort of, as I mentioned, the American Israeli Chamber of Commerce, together with more than 20 companies and entities that are interested in promoting circular economy in Israel. And through that, we've created a platform where you can, or where companies submit their challenges, and you can see if you have the capacities to tackle those challenges. We are aiming for individuals, from students to industry veterans, pensioners, anybody with knowledge, anybody with capacity that wants to use their knowledge into solving the world's problems or the circular problems. That platform is on the air since May this year. I see that Mino is joining. It's been on the air this year, and next year we of course plan to expand the platform, which you're going to see soon, and Camille is going to share with us the platform, into more challenges, more industrial challenges, more international challenges. So we invite challenge owners from anywhere in the world actually to offer challenges to the Israeli innovation community, and we also invite international innovators to log into the platform to see if any of the challenges are within their domain and submit solutions. So Mino, if you are with us and are able to reshare your presentation and your video, we'll be happy to. If we don't see a sign of life from you, then we ask Camille to share her screen and present the platform.
So let's go.
Thanks,
right?
Yes.
And then if Mino joins us later, we can take it from there. So as Avi said, we built this platform. You can find it on circularsolutions.co.eu. And maybe before I start sharing how you can access the platform and how you can find the challenges and how you can start tackling them, I thought it's important to share two things. One of them is that we did a lot of information sessions with the companies that have posted challenges on our platform. So these are the companies that have done so, many of them. And if you go to the community, you click on it and you will find this tab on information. So you can find many sessions with the representatives of those companies that share more information, which will be, I think, really, really helpful and good to know beforehand. And another thing is that I'm also like behind the platform. So if there are any questions or you don't find the right information that you're looking for, you would like to have any additional details, you can send us a message over the platform and get in touch with me and ask me all your questions, and I will be happy to provide you with the answers. So after those two things, I will show you, like, give you a quick tour over the on the platform, and then we can continue with Mino, I think, afterwards again. So again, the website is hosted at circularsolutions.co.eu, and most importantly is that's the place where the 24 challenges are posted. So if you go to challenges on the platform, you can find them all here. So you can look, like, you see challenges from Stratasys and Clariter and other companies. And if we, for example, take the one from HP Indigo and we take a look, you can find there all the information on the company and on the specific challenge. So you can find the description, details, you can find like more information on the company. And underneath here, you can also find like the information section that I posted. But underneath you can register for the challenge. And this is really helpful for us because this way we can update you, send you more information, be in touch with you like in the process during which you will be tackling the challenge. If you are maybe alone and you would like to look for other people that would like to join you, or you would like to maybe get a specific perspective on a topic, you can explore like our community, which is full of people that are interested in circular economy and have specific knowledge or specific skills. So for example, if you would like to tackle a challenge on plastics, you can type here also keywords. So you can look for plastic and you can see like the people that are that have knowledge on this topic. And you can also make a profile yourself. So if you want other people to find you or you want to engage or send messages, you can do it there. And then if you go to submission, you can download here the submission format where you see all the details like what we ask from you when you're creating your solution, and then you can submit the solution there. Of course, if you have any questions, like under the About page, you can find the FAQ and you can find all the details. That's basically it about the platform. And we wanted to let you know that the competition is open until October 31st. So until then, you have the time to submit your solution and like form your team and tackle one of the challenges. So good luck, everyone. And again, if you have any questions, I will be more than happy to provide you with the answers. And you can find me in the community, but also through the chat on the platform. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Camille. Since we're multitasking here, can you make Mino the co-host because he's back with us and can continue his presentation?
Here I am. I'm really very sorry, by the way. We stopped exactly in the, there is some suspense because we stopped exactly on the switch. Camille, can you please put on the presentation? Okay, and you can go down, please. Next. Okay. So no, the previous one, please. Okay. So actually, the concept of circular economy is to take a product which has been otherwise wasted and to convert it after some kind of manipulation, eventually, of work around it, in something which has even a higher value of what it was before. So this is exactly the patent that we bought from the University of Tel Aviv. Please, next slide. What is the patent? The patent is ingenious because it is extremely simple. We take those devices, those dialyzers, after they have been used as a dialyzer in the dialysis process, after they have purified blood, we perform the same sterilization, which is dictated in order to, the procedure is dictated in order to reprocess them as a dialyzer. But then instead of using them as a filter for blood, we reuse them as a filter for water. So actually we use it as a water purifier. And why it is so ingenious? It's very simple, because at the end of the day, we have in our hands the best filter in the world. Why it is the best filter in the world? Because it simulates the best filter in the world, which are our kidneys, basically. So next slide. So this is the pattern. This is the idea, and it works in a very simple way. It works in a mechanical way, basically, meaning that the water is going through the filter. The filtration rate of the filter is of 30 nanometers, which means that anything which is bigger than 30 nanometers is retained and filtered by the filter, and anything which is smaller than 30 nanometers is passing through. So we are using the good characteristic of the medical device for this water purification process. And next slide, please. What you will see, anything which is on the right side of the dotted line, and it is bigger than 30 nanometers. So all the bacteria are rejected, the viruses are rejected, suspended solids, organic matters. The only thing which is passing through is water and salt. So it is not a desalination device, but it is what we call a filtration and this disinfection device. Next slide. So we take one of those filters, which has those very good membrane characteristics. We can take advantage of the absolute filtration of those 30 nanometers, which is 0.03 micron. We have almost an unlimited availability. As I said, we have 1 million only in Israel, which permits us to, if we will collect all of them, we can do a turnover of more than $40–50 million per year. And it is simply scalable. So if one of those devices is purifying 100 liters per hour, if we put a lot of them in parallel, we can do any kind of capacity we need. Next slide, please. And those are the machines that we are producing using those filters. In next slide. And we have several applications of this technology where the machines are used: agriculture, drinking water, swimming pools. Think about swimming pool. Just for a second, a normal swimming pool. The normal treatment is to take the water, recycling it through a normal filter, which is filtering only suspended solids. In order to tackle the microbiological contamination, you throw a huge amounts of chlorine inside. And then if you install one of our systems, the water is passing through the membranes, which are removing both the suspended solids and the microbiological contamination. Therefore, at the end, you will have a water in the swimming pool, which is almost disinfected. You will have only to add a very, very small quantity of chlorine inside. So actually, who is taking a bath in the swimming pools which are treated with our units, is simply taking a bath just as in his hot tub in the house. Next slide. Next slide, please. So we are going to see what we do with drinking water. We simply take the water from the surface, or from a borehole, from a lake, from a pond, from a river. We throw the water, we pump the water with a hand pump. So even without electricity, or with the electric pump, the water is passing through the filters, and then you are receiving a completely purified water, which is better than the water that we are drinking from the tap in our home. So in the original presentation, I had a small movie, but in this case, we will not see it, unfortunately. Can you go to the next slide? Yeah, okay. So actually, we are building a unit, a small unit with the hand pump, which costs 1,000 euros. That's it, 1,000 euro, with no electricity and with no chemicals. We are providing the whole amount of water which is needed for a village of 400, 500 people. So this is a very valuable solution that where we are implementing the circular economy principle. Thank you.
Thanks, Mino, and for being able to deliver this presentation in such hard conditions, no battery, and in the street. If Rachel is still with us, we have a question in the Q&A for UBQ. If you are also targeting developing countries with open pit landfilling, I don't know if Rachel is still with us. Okay, in Bar, yeah, you are? Yes.
Hear me? I
Yes.
am here, but I can't access the video for some reason. Yes, we are targeting with time the developing world. Obviously, that's where a majority of the open landfills are, and therefore the magnitude of our climate positivity can be optimized from servicing those communities. But first we'll go to Europe, and from there we can grow.
Super. Starting Europe and growing from there. Thanks, Rachel. I see that Inbar has a question for Mino, but Inbar, you have to type the question for us to be able to ask. And in the meanwhile, if Arik or Ari are with us, we have a question on how do you help startups, recycling startups, expand? So not the industry that wants to recycle, but how does Israel help recycling startups? Right. So we seem to have lost Arik and Ari as well. And we are out of time because it's exactly 5 o'clock Israel time. So I invite you all that still have questions to send the questions to us, and we will forward them to the relevant speaker. And I hope you had enjoyed this small taste of what Israel plans to do in this field of plans and is doing in the field of circular economy. Thanks all for joining. Do look up the Circular Innovation Platform, and if you have a solution, to submit it. And you have some contact information on the chat for your further questions. Thanks a lot, everybody. Thanks, Camille, for helping me coordinate this. And
Thank you.
see you next time.